Hello, everybody. This is Joethelawyer, and this is the Analog Mancave. We are doing the Joe and Bro Firepit show. Here, my brother Mike, sitting in front of his fire pit. And this is Sunday night around, 9:16 when we're recording this, Eastern time. And so I had just released a couple hours ago my end of the campaign video. It's about, 19 minutes, I think it was, something like that?
Exactly. Well,
yeah.
19 and change, yeah.
Yeah. So we just did that, and so you got my thoughts before and after the game, and I figured, what the hell, we'll do a fire pit to talk about the end of the campaign, because it ain't just mine. It's his. Yeah. His players were in it the entire time. So, yeah. So it's over. What do you think?
Technically only one of them. Jormungandr the Barbarian. I made Trask a couple months in when we were like.
You needed a wizard.
we're doing, of course, the Phandalin campaign, but you added in a sideshow of the Sunless Citadel, and you wrapped it in somehow. I can't remember how.
It was a gnome thing or something going on.
Right, and so we had a cleric, my barbarian. I don't remember. I'm sure there must have been a ranger because Pete was playing, and his daughter was. I don't know. We had a bunch of we had 5 or 6, probably 6 characters. I think.
Nobody wanted to play a cleric.
We had cleric, but no one wanted to play. No one wanted to play wizard.
No play wizard. Yeah,
and we had a almost TPK. I would say a total party flee. We got out of there, and I'm like, God damn, we need
total party run away.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, shit, we need a wizard, because like a burning hands or a sleep spell,
Fireball.
any number of first level spells would change that encounter. And that was like the fall of 2018 by the time we realized we needed a wizard.
Yeah.
And it coincided with...
It'd been going on for about 5 months, the campaign, that far.
Yeah, and it was summertime, right? So in the summertime, certain players have more social interactions than others, so...
They got a life, we don't.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they don't have kids and stuff. So we didn't play a lot. So it was fall. It was right about this time in 2018 when we realized, all right, we need a wizard, and I rolled up Trask Thanya, which is an anagram for Anthony Stark. I kind of modeled my wizard after him in a way. But anyway, that particular time, Jen, my wife, was going through cancer, and I remember, this is before you moved into town here, and you were 35 minutes away, and we did so many one-on-one sessions because we had to get my wizard.
We had a power level.
We had a power level from 1 to 4. So that, the next time we played, he would be there and we'd encounter him and stuff.
Yeah, we had a few week gap and there was a lot of playing going
on.
Well,
it was funny. And, we played on Halloween night even. I remember after the Kids from Trick Street, we played Halloween. Yeah. But it meant a lot because it was like a distraction from real life. Jen going, she ended up beating cancer. But, of course, it was, we didn't know at the time, so it was... Yeah. It was a welcome distraction, and I knew why you were doing it then.
Yeah, that's what I could do.
But it was also something we needed to do because we had to get a wizard. We needed a fucking wizard.
Yeah.
But so that was that was 4 years ago when the wizard joined the campaign, and then I think maybe a year after that you said I'm fucking done with 5e.
I think I'm looking back at my notes yesterday as I was reviewing stuff, and I'm like, I'm done. Fuck 5e. That was supposed to be my final note. And then we're like, you know what? Let's just keep playing. We're just me and you.
That was like September of 2019. Yeah. So you gave it like a good 15 months or so.
Was it? I don't think that long.
Yeah.
Oh, the gap?
No. It was 15 months of the entire group.
Yeah.
And then
the gap wasn't that long. It was like
the gap was a couple weeks. Well, I was just like, fuck you, man. I'm really having fun.
Yeah. That was too.
And then what I think you acquiesced because the rules. The 5e rules are complex and characters are very powerful, and you've got to scale the monsters up, add more to make it challenging. And that's fine. You can do that within the mechanic and not break
basically, there's my little house rule for monsters for DMs out there for 5e. I added 2 AC to every monster, 3 to 4 for the more powerful ones, and I did at least a 15 to 20% increase in their hit points. That's pretty much what I did to scale it, because 5e is kind of broken with the monsters and the counter levels and shit.
But that's the cool thing about 5e is you make a couple adjustments and all of a sudden it's balanced. The one thing, the way you balance it the most is you didn't change, at least between the levels, well, we won't get into the level disparity between the wizard and...
Yeah, it was a shit
He was
show.
level, he got a deck of many things and he got level 10 while everybody else is level 5. So that was
I will never introduce a deck of anything again in any campaign I ever fucking
Imagine
run.
a 10th level
and
wizard.
I say that every time, and then I introduce it every 5 or 6 years. I forget my vow, and I introduce the fucking thing, and it fucks my whole campaign up, basically.
It's too tempting. But imagine having a wizard at 10th level and everybody else 5th level and trying to balance encounters.
Yeah, in the meantime, we're scrambling to get you to 5th on the one-on-ones.
and then
fucks me all up.
Yeah. So in any event, that was. You didn't change any of the adventure we happened to be in at the time. We were down in the Daggerford area. I can't remember what the fuck we were doing down there.
Yeah.
And you were like, all right, well, it's 2 or 3 weeks later. We haven't played. Now it's...
Know what I was running? I was running some of the adventures from when D&D Next, which was
the beta test.
It was the beta test D&D Next adventures that were set within a Daggerford area. They're really, really good, actually. Mm-hmm. They're better than most anything the freaking 5e would put out. So yeah,
they are very good,
excellent.
And they came with the rule like a minimal rule set.
Yeah, a minimal rule set. But yeah,
we were in the middle of a dungeon when you said, "I'm not doing this anymore." And so a couple weeks later, when you came back, you're like, "I'm like, did you scale this down or anything?" You're like, "Nope, it's just the two of you." So I'm like, "Well, fuck." Now I got no healer. You're basically a tank in a
play smart.
Yeah. And so
they're bringing in the swords and sorcery feel to it here, a little grittiness,
Yeah. And honestly, like I felt like for the next, I don't know, 8 levels at least, you kind of followed that same motif of here's the adventure. It's not going to be any easier, or it's not going to be. I'm not going to make it easier because there's only 2 of you.
And by adventure, I didn't run out of the book anything. What I did was I ran one. My whole campaign at the beginning was I bought all the books that were out. As they came out with new ones, I bought more new ones.
The 2 dragon ones,
the dragon ones, the giant one, all that shit, the Strahd one, everything, Schultz, all that stuff. I bought it. And I would just pick and choose bits and pieces from all the books. I kind of like, I called it, I was running every adventure in all those books at one time.
You're a cannibal.
I was, cannibalizing everything. And I had it, there's a giant war, a devil war, there was dragon wars going on, there's the Cthulhu kind of shit going on. There's all kinds of shit all at the same time happening, basically.
Dwayne and I talk about that all the time. You could have taken any single one of those themes or factions or nemesis and made a campaign completely out of that, and you managed to use them all.
Yeah, it was no fun. I wanted to get a world scaling, because 5e is heroic. 5e is big stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted a world scope kind of a adventure that brought them in. And when I do with the characters is they start at low level, and their region of their area of effect of the characters is a town. Maybe the area around the town as they get there to 4th level, right? The woods are a few, 10 miles, and then they move up, and once they get to, 5th to 10th level, you're talking a region. Once you get to 10th to 15th, you're talking maybe a country or maybe a couple countries in an area, and then about 15th to 20th, we got to 24, 25 you ended with,
We ended up
right?
dinging 25, which is a big deal. A lot of cool things happen at 25.
Create a whole great hall of high-level rules and all that, but you're talking on a world scale. These guys are powerful as shit, but they attract powerful enemies, right?
Hopefully they're all gone.
Well, yeah, we'll see. your guys are retired anyway, so.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're NPCs now. And so there'll be, I don't think I'll ever have to interact with the 2nd edition game they're running. First of all, I'll have to make up what's a 25th level barbarian in 2e.
Well, it's also like 5e technically stops at 20th level, and 2nd edition stops at 30th. So is 20 mean 30?
I don't know.
Or, how do you even make it all that relative?
I just keep the same level and call it that. It's just easier, I think, because when you talk about spells you could cast a day, I think that's the only true point of comparison, right? So therefore, all the fighters and the wizards will be the same because it's both 25th level.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And you even said you didn't see the 2e campaign going past 15 or 20th level.
Just because we'll be fucking old and in the grave before it happens. I mean, you know how slow you're fucking advanced in 2nd edition. It's just insane.
That's all wrong. Don't you get experience for gold in that game too?
Well, technically you don't. Reading the rules, I was surprised because we kind of always did it with gold in 2nd edition for XP, like first. That was just a 1st edition carryover. But if you read the rules for XP, it's like all kinds of weird ass shit. Basically, I'm giving gold for XP. I'm going to give milestone awards here and there for you've completed the thing.
Yeah, you always got to do that. Yeah.
Or something like that, right? And so we're gonna do something along those lines, and then. The big thing, you might get a story. I might get like a best role player award or something like that. Staying in character. It's like I want to stay in character.
I'm gonna win that shit.
Huh? Well, we'll see. We'll see. Rob might kick your ass, man. He never breaks character.
Accent. Oh, okay.
He never breaks character ever, and he always has an accent if he's playing a character, and he's always in. Yeah, so Rob might kick your ass.
I don't care about I'm gonna have an accent too, but I don't. Accents to me are overrated.
Yeah.
It's more of inflection and tone and personality than throwing a fucking accent in. Some people just don't have that talent.
Yeah. Well, Rob is always in character, so that should be interesting, And Vance Vance sometimes gets in character. He's not so much like that, like Rob. So it should be fun.
Well, I think I'll get way into that. Dwayne, Dwayne.
yeah.
Dwayne's playing a fucking drug-addicted barbarian on shrooms in the campaign I'm running right now.
Jesus, yeah.
Which is great. So he'll be in character. So if it's me, Rob, and Dwayne, then Vance is the outlier. But if it's 3-1, you just force it.
Yeah, Vance is good. No, he'll play whatever everybody plays. He's a smart player.
I'm
Vance Atkins. He has a blog, guys. Give him a quick search. I forget the name of it. I'm sorry, Vance, but it's a good blog. He was I always talk Lake Hester's something or another. Vance Atkins. Give it a shot. Take a look. But yeah, he'll be playing too. I'm hoping to start it around after Christmas, after the holidays. I got some shit coming up, minor surgery, gallstones, blah blah blah. So we'll have to get that over with, I think, taken care of, and then that'll give me some time to, like I was saying in the other video, create the world history or the regional history of this area, plus a little bit of the world history, what's going on. Because now I played this campaign, and the scope of it was the literal world. So I have pieces in play all over the place. I might as well keep those pieces moving around because it might affect the region, right? So
you don't have to worry about Calamshan anymore.
Yeah. That's done.
That was a surprise. I actually thought maybe you were extending the campaign because when I thought, okay, we're going to be done in 2 minutes, I'm just going to teleport us all to Chult, because I got these nether scrolls and I can teleport anywhere without having been there. I'm like, you're going
to lay on the beach with a...
Morning, Caden's fantastic beach house.
Yeah.
We're going to hang out on the beach, just chilling out, drinking beers and shit.
That's how it's supposed to end.
That's how it ended. And all of a sudden, Joey's like, yeah, but if you looked east towards Calamshan, it's a giant ball, like a giant... fire, basically.
Dust cloud, yeah.
Because, the end of the campaign, I won't get too much into it, meteors and blowing them up and stuff. And
Shrapnel
hit
Calimport and wiped it out. And pretty much a whole band across that area.
I was thinking, well, shit, is Joey having second thoughts? Is this campaign not over? Am I still supposed to retire? I feel like I should investigate.
It's like arriving in Jamaica and seeing like a gang there ready to kick your ass.
Yeah, I'm like, oh shit, the campaign's not over.
Yeah.
But it's over. It's as much as, like you've said in previous videos, you miss it. These are my characters.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I can't tell you in the last 4.5 years how many times I found myself not working from home. Sitting there going, let me pull up my character and look at my spells, or let me, you know what I mean? It's like I'm always, whether it's taking a shower or taking a shit, I'm always thinking about my characters.
That's the best time. Is when you're taking a shit.
Yeah, and I'm always thinking like, what's he gonna do, or what? God, when there's only two characters. And one player and two characters, it makes you a better fucking player.
Especially when there's no healer.
That's what I'm saying. I happen to have a bear totem of spec barbarian, very hard to kill.
I tried.
Backbeat. That's what I was getting at earlier. Between level 7 and 15, I thought was the scariest times in D&D ever. There was one thing when we were in Chult the second time to Chult when we found and rescued Hecaton, the Storm Giant King. He was
you were down to nothing.
He was in a stasis field that the Kraken Society, the Cthulhu fuckers were held him in, and
what level were you, about 15?
This was about 15. No, less than that. It was like 12, 13.
All right.
And a 12 or 13 level wizard has about 20 spells he can cast a day, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, and in a barbarian, and at one point. Jormungandr was just cleaving shit, but Trask, the wizard, was, Trask, anagram for Stark, he was out of spells, and all he could do was Firebolt at that point.
He was doing the cantrips.
He was down to Firebolt, which, by the way, as an evoker, really good at high levels, because you get multiple bolts, and each one gets plus 5 damage.
Against the wall, basically. It was like they run you out. You were against the wall, and they were coming in.
And this is how Joey hates 5e. In 5 levels, I think I've successfully pulled off 1 or 2 short rests ever, because he hates short rests. Because, you get spell points back.
Perfect time to have a random encounter.
Joey does, 2 random encounters a day, except if you take a short rest, then it's 3.
2 random encounters during the short rest.
Yeah. And so I never got one off. So I was like, let me just take a short rest, get hit points back, although my barbarian was unhurt. Trask was hurt, and of course, there's a fucking encounter. So... At a certain point, it was just
dice roll.
That was scary as fuck. It was basically on a tanky barbarian, with no armor, and Trask doing firebolts, and we ended up. That was there was several scary times. There was one time I thought, just 2 months ago, our barbarian was fighting one of these Cthulhu motherfuckers, and And Joey comes up with all stupid shit of how to.
That means I've just effectively scared him. Stupid shit.
No, stupid shit is when he's like, I can't kill this guy, so I'm just going to create a bunch of shit that really fucks him up so I can kill him.
What I did was I attacked his proficiency bonus.
Yeah, it's making up some shit.
In other words, instead of like a standard, it's a wraith that does strength chain. No, this dude I took this from Tim. So thanks, Tim. I know you're listening to it. Tim had a wraith encounter, just my dude walking down the street from the fucking bar. If you ever play in his games, it's like if your character has a log cabin in a town, and behind it, about 20 yards out, there's an outhouse, there'll be 3 wandering encounter checks on the way to take a shit in the middle of the night to the outhouse. So anyway, this is where I get this from.
Mm-hmm.
Tim changed it up, and he has like an XP drain, but he nailed Snickle the Gnome with, it was basically I'm losing part of my memory. So pieces are going. It wasn't just XP, and that was how he justifies the experience. You're losing. You don't remember last week. You don't remember a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't going back to country. It was just bits and pieces of things from my brain.
Right.
And so I'm like, that's different. And that's a different kind of like a boring strength drain or something, or an XP drain.
Well,
so
you ended up doing every time he hit me.
Yeah.
It took away. Well, there was a roll. There was rolls involved.
For how many things?
Yeah.
It was a D4 con.
Strength con.
It was a D4 strength, a D4 con, and it was always 1 proficiency point for every hit.
Which is really hard when you start trying to do those calculations. And I'm trying to calculate math while I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to fucking live. And you know what? I almost died. It was so bad.
That was tough.
Dwayne was texting me, and he goes, "How's it going?" I'm like, "I think I'm going to die."
Yeah, I remember he couldn't play that night.
He had company over.
Yeah.
And he couldn't play that. So he had company over, and he goes, "Hold on a second, I got to log into Discord." And they're like, "Well, why?" He goes, "My character's going to die." And they're like, "Well, who fucking cares?" He goes, "Motherfucker, you've been playing the guy for 4 years. I'm going to be there if he dies." He left his company and came in. And as it turned out, I didn't die.
Yeah.
You know what I did? I remembered that the range of my fucking hammer was 500 feet and not a longbow. So I ended up realizing I could just be further away and throw the fucking thing at the guy and kill it.
You finally ran away.
Yeah, but this is what happens when you drink too much beer when you're playing D&D. You forget it. You forget about your
the
ability.
beer wall. That's what I call it. The beer wall. Usually happens around 10:30.
No, 11:30.
Yeah. Some days it was like 10 o'clock though. So
well, if I went out, if I go out with Jen on a Friday or Saturday night and we come back and play, I forget a head start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's the thing. So I hit the beer wall. I remember. What I usually do is I drop all the vital information that he'll need to know for the next game.
It's true.
And during the beer wall, it's like just before we end, and he's like, stagger up the bed and pass out. That's when I say, okay, so the guy says blah 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 blah, and there's no handout. I just say it.
Which is why every
and
fucking
he's like bleary eyed. What? He said what? I said it once. You heard it once. He walked away. That's it. So
every Sunday morning, every Sunday morning I call Dwayne. I'm like, hey, did I remember that shit right?
Dwayne's after it there half the time anyway. He's already past the beer wall. So yeah.
Yeah, but those levels between 7 when we first went solo and like 13, 14 came close to. I can't tell you how many times I thought, well, campaign's over. Like there was in it. Like I said, it made me such a good player from terms of looking at what's the guy's name? Treant Monk.
Yeah.
Treant Monk.
Yeah, his videos.
I don't like. So he's extremely knowledgeable. He's fantastic. I subscribe to him, but he's so all in on 5e. His videos are like how to make the best tank, and I'm like, oh cool. Let me see if my barbarian totem spec. But it's none of that. It's all about mixing 4 different classes. Don't get me going. I hate all that.
Multi-classing is my thing. So.
Outside of fighter thief, I don't allow multi-classing, but I like the fighter thief. It's a Han Solo type guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I agree. But so most of his videos I don't really watch, but when he says, when he does a video on my spec barbarian and it's 45 minutes and an evoker wizard, and not only that, he reviewed every single.
That's like the little commercial when he and talk.
Exactly. Treant Monk knows his shit.
Yeah, he does.
So, that first winter playing my wizard, I'd listened to his spell descriptions. He did 9 videos of describing every spell of every level. And I'm like, holy shit. And I listened to it, watched it multiple times, and I thought of all these cool spell combinations, and god damn it, I thought of one spell combination.
Oh yeah, fuck you.
It was the reverse gravity. No. Reverse gravity against a prismatic sphere.
Yeah.
So you're passing through it 4 times.
Yeah.
And I came up with this shit on my own, and I'm like, let me Google this shit, see what the rulings are. And the rulings are, it works.
Yeah.
If you can, and even at that, I had magic item where I can quick cast a spell. You basically turn my wizard into a wizard sorcerer. You made him way OP with that magic item.
Well, I didn't have sorcerers in my campaign per se, so I have meta magic.
But there's a reason wizards don't get sorcerer's abilities, and now I had a magic item, and they gave me all the sorcerer's abilities. Limited charges. But anyway,
I did like meta magic out of 3rd edition. One of the few things I liked.
That was cool.
It was cool. Of Pathfinder, so I brought some of that in.
Yeah, I like that. Well, sorcerers get it even in 5e.
Yeah. That's why I gave it to you.
But so I thought of that spell, and I'm like, man, I told you the next day I got this great spell, and you're like, I'm just gonna outlaw it. I'm like, yeah, but I get one use.
That's my rule. I was given one use to fuck my game up with some creative thing, and I reserved the right to outlaw all further uses.
Just bullshit, but whatever.
Yeah, no way.
So I thought of that, and then like a year later, you ran across a YouTube video.
It was Reddit. It was like Reddit.
It was Reddit?
Yeah, it was. I was like, because you were bragging about how these spells you're gonna fuck me with.
Oh, it was gonna be great.
Yeah, so I just said, I just think I typed into Google 5e spells that break your game, or 5e spells that DMs hate, or some shit like that, right? And it was one of those combinations. It was a spell combos. So it was one of those. I'm like, fuck you. So I'm like, fuck you. No way.
I was so pissed.
So I texted him. I texted him and Dwayne. He's like, motherfucker, I haven't used it. I said, I don't care. I'm outlawing it ahead of time.
You said, don't ever use reverse gravity and prismatic sphere. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yep.
So I was holding on to that because you can't use it against a troll. You got to wait until you're fighting a type 6 demon or a fucking pit fiend.
Demigod,
and it's instant fucking. There's no way around it. It's instant death. Yeah. So I was like, oh, this is great. And you fucking found it.
Yep. No, I'll outlaw ahead of time if I could find stupid ass combinations,
The thing that pisses me off is I came up with it of my own will and independently was reinforced that it should work. And then you fucking found it. Like
some spaz on Reddit just doesn't reinforce shit for me.
No, what I'm saying, I'm saying I got a rule interpretation and everybody said, of course it's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah, I'm always going to nerf the bullshit, though. I mean, I'll put, what I'm going to do, guys, a lot of people have asked in the past, we did a house rule, we did a Joe and Bro Firepit show where we talked about our 5e house rules, remember?
Yep.
And then we burned them at the end, so at the time I didn't have a website or anything, so what I'm going to do is I'll put a link below in the description to this, guys, and I'm going to put my house rules on my webpage. It's analogmancave.com. So just analog, analog old people stuff, mancave.com. So go to the webpage, and by the time this is up, I'll have the 5e house rules out there so you can take a look at them, okay? I already have my 2nd edition house rules as I think they're going to be, my preliminary draft. Just a few things I got to go over about secondary skills and abilities and shit like that, non-weapon proficiencies. I want to sort of work through it because I haven't used that kind of shit in, 20-odd years, So if I don't work through that thing before we actually, put them in play. So yeah, but it'll be out there though, guys, so you'll have access to all of it. My brother was just changing the fire over us, all that banging was there.
Yeah, you love when we went into like months ago, you're like, let's do 2nd edition. And 2nd edition for us, I think outside of this last handful of years, which was the best ever, 2nd edition was the most one we've ever had.
Yeah, because we were young, we were 20-odd, just out of college.
It was college. We played 1st edition. You went away to college in '88. I went in '90, which is when we started playing again. And
yeah, we hadn't played for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't around, so I played with like high school idiots, and they never fucking understood it. But whatever. But we basically we met Kurt, Steve, and then the 4 of us played D&D.
Pete joined in then.
Pete joined in the late 90s.
After was the late 90s?
Yeah, because Kurt ended up working with him.
That's right.
From like 96, 97. So then Pete got in at that time.
Yeah, okay.
But so then it was big, but it was college era. It was either college or right after college.
It was stupid. It was, we were free and no bills and no kids and no wives and no mortgages and no bullshit.
There was time. I'll never forget this. There's times.
All the good days, the good old days.
Yeah, I would wait tables at Uno's, Pete Street Uno's. Yeah. It's where I met my wife. No, I met her a little bit before that, but just back when we were dating. Today's our 30-year anniversary of dating, by the way.
Of meeting or dating?
Dating. We met
so you asked her out 30 years ago today?
Kinda. It was when they the attempted mugging.
Oh yeah, of you?
Of me, and I got back to my apartment, and then I was like fixing up my eye, and in the bathroom, and Jen called. I'm like, I just got jumped like down the road. So she came over in her PJs with a roommate, and we went back to her apartment, hung out for a while. We ate pickles, And
Is that a euphemism?
no, no, we ate pickles. We realized we both love fucking pickles. We had like a jar of pickles, and that was when I think we officially started dating. But anyway,
before blood pressure and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was 30. That was 30 years ago today. 11/13.
Wow.
My pin codes for everything for like forever until we got married
Don't
was
say it. Don't
no,
say
no,
it.
it's not anymore. 1113, 1113.
Oh, okay.
I got a different one now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, those years 90. I think 93 we started playing again.
Yeah.
And right through about 2000.
Yeah, because I was just out. When we started, I was out, and you were still living in that fucking that greenhouse shit show you had.
No. That was
Right?
it. When we started playing, I was in the other place, the nicer apartment, the one that Jen had just vacated on Hillcrest Avenue. So yeah, so we would play, and I would work at Uno's, and I'd get off at like 11:30, and you guys would have a beer at the bar. I'd get out, we'd go back home, and then we just fucking play all night.
Yeah.
And then if I wasn't working the next day, we would sleep for a couple hours in the morning. We'd wake up, all the shit was still there.
All pizza and beer.
Exactly. And then we'd start playing again. And we did that so often.
Yeah.
And then post graduation from college, we would play on rent. And there was always an excuse to play on a given night. Mondays were great because it made Mondays bearable. You know, Thursdays were great.
You could do shit after work on Monday, not be like, "Fuck you."
Well, that's the point. Yeah, we were young and we didn't give a shit. We'd play D&D. We'd get home at like 1 a.m. and we'd go to work the next day like nothing happened.
Yeah.
No, there's no fucking way I'm playing D&D. I don't know how you do it. You play on Mondays. You play on play on all kinds of
Tuesdays now. Yeah, Tuesdays. Yeah, we only play till like 10:30. Usually, you know, we all hit the sack after that. I make
That's
sure
reasonable.
everything is done before I go to bed. It's different when you're playing online. You're always driving everywhere. We're playing on Roll20. It's like you sit there and you can roll right off your chair into your fucking bed and you're good, you know?
I know it's somewhat blasphemic, but we're going to be, I'm sure everybody's heard of, most of the people that you know have heard, but people that are listening maybe didn't, but we do the day after Thanksgiving entire day of D&D.
Yeah.
I always host it here, but, we've got me and my brother Joey, and then Kurt, who played with us in the 90s, Pete played with us in the 90s, and then and I've known Dwayne for 20 years, but only started playing D&D with him a couple years ago when he joined our campaigns.
He lives in another state.
So he's in Missouri.
Missouri, yeah.
So we've got the day after Thanksgiving with everybody at my house other than Dwayne. So there's going to be, Dwayne has to be on Roll20, which means we all have to be on Roll20 because we have to look at, so everybody's got to bring a laptop and a headset, yet we're going to be playing in person.
A headset. How am I going to do that with the shit? I only have the iPad. I don't have a headset for the iPad.
You can borrow my laptops. I got a couple laptops you can use. But my point is, we're in person outside of Missouri.
Yeah.
But we're all going to have headsets and Roll20, even though it's in person. So you get the best of both worlds.
Yep. And you just got that fiber optic shit, so we shouldn't have any problems on the speed.
I test that shit like 3 times a day. It's always like it's literally a 980 to a gigabit a second.
Up and down?
Up and down, because it's fiber optic. I just got it a few months ago. And the technology is already out, and the wire's already ready for it to do 10 gigabit a second.
Jesus. I gotta get that.
It's going through all kinds of regulations and shit, but like the hardware and software is ready. My modem is ready for 10 gigabit a second.
Jesus. I'll get that soon. I got to get the number of that place before I leave.
Go NetSpeed. It's fantastic. You have to petition to get them to come in your area though. There's a whole Facebook thing going on.
Right. Well, they're here, so I'll get it.
Yeah, it's the best.
Anyway, it should be nice though. It should be good I'm still gonna roll dice sometimes. I bring in my dice because we're playing in person. I'm gonna roll dice once in a while because fuck it.
I'm gonna do the same. You
got it for the critical stuff. Not the boring random shit, but some of the more important rolls. I'm having my dice in front of me because we're doing it in person.
Yep.
Dwayne won't be able to see it, but he'll tell by the cheer or the roar or the laughter what happened.
Yeah. There's always times to roll. I at least once a session when I'm DMing, I roll dice, and usually way more because all those searches and perception and sneaking and all that shit. I just roll dice. But yeah, I reflected a lot today while I was out. When you're out with the chainsaw, there's nothing to do except think and cut shit. I just reflected about, the time was right for it to end because everything was accomplished. Yeah. I could sit there and tell you, yeah, but Joe, I want to go here and make you fucking role play out nothing, but it's like, it's time. It's as sad as it is, the last bunch of levels have, there was 5 major bad guy organizations, and the last one was dead.
Yeah,
And they all died over the last five months.
The world has changed irrevocably now.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's going to be a whole lot of differences in the second edition campaign that you guys are going to discover as players that I didn't reveal. Like, you wouldn't have known if you had not gone to Schultz, you wouldn't have heard about Callanport. Right. So that I'm like, wait a minute, how long was it between this time and that time? Because I'm like, if he's there soon or late enough, he would have heard about it. So I give him a little bit of info there. But yeah, that's it's like little things like that are going to have ripple effects throughout the world. And that's what I'm looking forward to, is the world building. Along with that is world destruction and then world rebuilding, right? Yeah. So I did a lot of world building, and then I did a lot of world sort of deconstruction or destruction, whatever you want to call it. And now we're going to, you know, the From the Ashes, because this is, I always wanted to play that Carl Sargent's, was it From the Ashes or After the Ashes?
After the Ashes.
After the Ashes. We dabbled around it a little bit. We never actually got to really play it like I wanted to, because it was fucking fantastic. He's the best writer ever for anything for D&D. The shit he wrote for Greyhawk, amazing. Yeah. And he wrote some of the Warhammer, the Enemy Within, I think, campaign books on that. He was involved in that too. They're like classics. This dude is smart, and he thinks, I guess I know it's going to sound like I'm complimenting myself. He thinks the same way I do about things. His view of the world and how to create things and what happens now and the consequences. He wrote about that one time, and he says, this is what you do. You just create all these situations, and from that arise consequences. Think of everything you know about the real world and apply it here. And that's what I do.
That sounds all easy and shit, but not everybody has a grasp on the real world.
Well, I know. A lot of people are idiots. That's why you can't, some people can't DM something like that. They'll do a beer and pretzels game or whatever, and that's fine. That's what he likes, and that's what the players like. That's good. I can't play like that, though. I like more immersion. I like to know what's going on, where it's going on, and how why, especially why. The why is the fun part. Finding out why is the fun part. Yeah. You know, both as a DM and a player. So I like that level of it, though, and I think this is going to be interesting because I'm rebuilding, and now I can finally play in an After the Ashes style campaign because I broke the world. Right, I had all the wars and all the aftermath of the wars, and so I finally have an After the Ashes, but it's set in my version of Forgotten Realms. In my version, I started with the gray box and the few early supplements like Waterdeep and a Savage Frontier and this and that.
Savage Frontier was a great supplement.
Yeah, I only had a few of the ones that I used, only the early ones, not the later ones. And we never had the God's War books, that trilogy, the Avatar series.
That was stupid.
That was dumb. So basically, I played AD&D Forgotten Realms and then broke that. Right, so I didn't play anything, more recent than that stuff, than the late 80s Forgotten Realms. So it's probably a little bit different the way it started as compared to how it is now, and then the way it ended is certainly different than what's out there. So it's kind of my place now. Right. You break it, you own it, right? And I guess that's what I did. I broke it, I own it.
One cool thing as a tie-in is I made a ranger, and he worships, I think you call it Mother, but it's basically like Mother Earth, effectively. Yeah. And it's a antithesis of being a druid. Druids worship a god, right? And then there's this mother, this, like every, like the American Earth Indians and
the Earth Mother,
the druids.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly. So now my rangers, my ranger was in Parnast.
Come over here, I gotta take a leak.
When my barbarian came through, a year ago, doing on an errand, and so he told him he saved.
Still.
Well, where are you going?
Well, hold still. We gotta. Here, we'll put it on top of the fence so we can both piss at the same time.
Yeah.
And people can still hear us.
Yeah,
that's fucking brilliant, actually.
So we're both taking
this fence.
Both taking a piss while we're talking.
Nice.
So my barbarian came through Parnas, and I'm what I'm retconning is like my guy was a hunter in Parnas, and when he came through and. The barbarians saved them from this demon enclave and talked to them about the Earl King and Mother and all that. So now he's a ranger, but he kind of sort of, hero worshipped my barbarian and then got sucked in. So the major war where,
the final battle,
100,000 people got sucked into the abyss, right? And so he's going to come back to Parnas after the war.
PTSD.
Little PTSD.
Is it going to be like all Rambo PTSD, or is it going to be like just?
I look at him more like the Kevin Costner's son in
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone,
which you got to still watch.
Yeah, I know.
New season is out tonight, actually, guys.
But I was thinking about that guy. Came back and he's like fucked up, but in any event, so he survived it, and now he's got a little PTSD. So he's gonna have a ranger with like a southern accent, and. Ironically, I got you into Yellowstone,
Yeah.
and then I stopped watching it because
I blew through it in like 2 weeks, the first 4 seasons.
I kept telling him, Joe, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this. It's fucking crazy. And then I stopped watching it just because of like time and being busy. And now you're done with it. I'm gonna get into it after I finish season 3 of Orville.
I'm gonna have some of the Yellowstone feel in this campaign because it's it's the savage part of Savage Frontier. It's more out there, it's more rugged. It's more the old West. Not gonna be Western themed, but it's gonna have that kind of attitude.
Right.
I think it really fits.
When you told us that, you have no idea how excited Dwayne got.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he sent me all kinds of texts and all he's got all plans.
Yeah.
Robbing cattle and shit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fucking cattle.
Yeah. He's got all kinds of ideas.
What the fuck is this? His cowboy fantasy?
I don't know. I was astounded at how excited he was over that. I'm like, wow, Dwayne's really looking forward to this shit. But the cool thing for Dwayne is Dwayne only stepped into this campaign because in about 2 years ago, we're 2.5 years into the campaign, and we're a year into me being solo, where my barbarian was 13th or 14th level, and we were running the hill giant, the setting of the hill giant chief. It was 5e conversion, and he's in there.
And I gave him followers.
13 warriors. It was like.
It was like that movie. What the hell was
the 13th warrior?
The 13th warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I want. I give him 13 barbarian followers.
But I had character sheets for all of them. So I had a 12th level guy, Hutwig. I had a 9th level guy, an 8th level guy, 2 7th level guys, and I think 6
or 8 8th level, 6th level guys,
6 5th level guys,
something like that. Yeah.
So I had to keep track of experience and treasure. So I'm playing literally 14 characters.
Yeah,
Thankfully, they were all barbarians.
Yeah, they're simple enough.
It's still the same mechanic.
And they're all bear tribe.
All bear tribe. So, but I was like, Joe, I'm not going to this fucking place without a healer. Listen, I said, you figure it out. You give me a shaman, you make him a druid, but I need a healer. But I'm not playing him. Yeah. I said, I'm playing 14 characters. Can we invite Dwayne to this game? Because we love playing with Dwayne. Yeah. And I'm like, he let him play like some. So you made up a shaman class, a 5e.
I created a 5e shaman.
A 5e shaman.
I had used it. He created an old shaman class for a Lamentations game that I ran about 12 years ago. It was when I was running at that Moe's burrito store on Sunday mornings. Mm-hmm. Because they let me play there. It was a central place for all the players, and everybody would be able to get there around 10 when they opened up, and nobody was in Moe's before fucking lunch.
Welcome to Moe's, right?
Right, so we walk in, welcome to Moe's, and there's just us geeks sitting
fucking
there
playing
combining tables to play D&D, and they didn't give a shit, because we all, once they got all the food out there, we bought food, they served margaritas. My margarita excuse at Moe's, that was like whatever.
It's like 11 in the morning, you're drinking a margarita.
I was like, well, basically, if they ever stumped me, these players, and they were good, sometimes they like stump me. I'm like, let me think about this. Let me go to the bathroom. Then I come out and I grab a margarita. I order a margarita on the way to the bathroom. Come out, grab the margarita, down the margarita, and hopefully by then a conclusion to the problem they just threw me with.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So I was playing at the Moe's burrito place, but I pulled out a rule from then when I created a shaman class, and I brought that variation for 5e into this game, basically.
Yeah. And it was cool. So it got us playing with Dwayne again, and then I don't know. He played the shaman. Then we just ended up liking playing with Dwayne, and Dwayne loved the campaign, although he always acknowledged he's just playing NPCs in my campaign.
Yeah, he played a couple other ones.
He was very, very cool about it. He played Hulraken, the paladin, Gronk, the cleric, Garrick, the thief.
Yeah.
And you always kind of like
Sam Axe and
those are your characters that you
that's when he was playing NPCs though, rather than his own.
Yeah, right, right. And he was always cool about it. He was always willing to do and play what the fuck ever to fit into the campaign.
He's played every class almost.
But he, it's funny. He played more now that I think about it. He actually played right about half the campaign.
Yeah, he did.
He played about halfway through. Yeah,
about almost 2 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
It got easier as the. It's not to say there wasn't hard fights at high levels. There were. That was when I thought my barbarian was going to die. It wasn't that long ago. But the game changed around 15th level and became a lot of role-playing. Shit, we didn't even talk about... We ended up in 1930s Berlin for a time. Because the best part transported there... And we had to find a way back, and we
probably shouldn't say that word. I probably edit that out. Doesn't make it?
They edited it out. Yeah, you can't say it. But we brought back. Didn't we bring back a nuke?
Yeah,
we brought back a nuke, and then we ended up teleporting it to the center of the Dark Elf City.
Yep.
We fucking. Yep. I always told Joey, the next campaign's got to be like everybody's got 2 heads and 25 fingers from all the nuclear radiation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so God, there's the Berlin thing. One of the highlights of the last year for me was. being...
What I did was the Berlin that I used was the Cthulhu Berlin in the 1930s book that came out that won all the awards. It was such a freaking good book. I loved it.
Can we talk about the conspiracy theory thing where I predicted who you were going to have there, and he was there, but he's the father of 2 presidents, so I don't know if we should mention it.
Oh, no. Yeah.
But I called it. I said to myself, we're in this big occult meeting. I guarantee Joey's going to include someone from America. It was funny.
Yep.
But yeah, so we did that, and but even after that, one of the more recent highlights was 1,000% just role playing. It was negotiating the accords with from 20 different nations, all having disputes, and it was held in my compound, and I had to figure out. And I don't think you went into this saying, "Well, Mike's going to figure this out if he does X, Y, Z."
No, I had everybody, every delegation. I gave the country. First, I figured out what country or city or town, what was their goal, like what did the ruler want, what was the ruler's personality, which would dictate how reasonable or not he would be, and then the ambassador, the marching orders of each ambassador who came,
and their personalities,
and then I spent a lot of time just creating all these NPCs, like probably 30 different NPCs that I threw into the puzzle, and then you had to just interact with them, and I had no agenda. I had no in my head, it will work out if he does this. I just said, okay, here's the situation, asshole.
And there were so many cool times when, when you role play this shit out, a 2-week, discourse is a couple sessions, right? But if you think about it, Trask, the wizard who is tasked with figuring this shit out and making everybody get along, presumably went to bed at night and pulled himself out a glass of scotch because he was a scotch drinker, and would sit there and just think and think and think. And sure as fuck, what do you think I was doing at night?
Yeah.
I was sitting there looking at my character sheet on my monitor.
All the notes you took about each person.
With all the notes, with a glass of scotch.
Yeah.
Because I've made myself I'm now a whiskey, scotch, bourbon guy.
Snob.
I do know I like bourbons, but in any event, I would sit there with a glass of scotch or a glass of bourbon or whiskey or whatever and stare at the notes I took based on what you told me, based on how it played out. Yeah. And I'm like, how do I fucking figure this out? And I can't remember what I did. I can go back and look at my character sheet, but I know what I did. And and I saw your, when I said one thing, I saw your fucking brain click because I saw your expression. I'm like, I won. I saw your expression, I'm like, this is going to stick. But that was cool because you didn't know how it was going to play out. Yeah. I certainly didn't know how it was going to play out. I actually made a deal with a demigod in the middle of the whole thing.
Yeah, he showed up and threw a little chaos into the whole mix.
Yeah, it ended up being cool. But that, I can't even imagine how much effort that takes as a DM to come up with that shit,
There's so much stuff I created, so many documents. I mean, just what I did with Cambions and Tieflings and Dragonborn. I could revamp them completely from the ground up.
And because you created Cambions, you disavowed sorcerers. Because you created Tieflings, you disavowed warlocks, and dragons, you disavowed bards.
Yes,
they all coincide with classes you eliminated.
I hated it but I took aspects of it. I had Dragon Song was Bard songs, so I just used that for it. And then Tieflings and Cambions, I think
we did a video on that, didn't we?
No, I always thought about it, talking about it, but I never did. When I have to scale it down to 2nd edition, or maybe I just won't scale it down and make it even harder, then I'll do probably a video about it.
Everything needs to be scaled down. I mean, for fuck's sake, my barbarians got like
1 million hit points.
380 hit points with resistance against everything other than psychic damage. So it's equivalent of 720 hit points.
Yeah, I changed that too. I said, well, that's just according to that, but I create something called, Cthulhu damage and devil damage and demon damage and all these other types of damages, so anyway.
That was only the extreme powerful ones, though.
Yeah, no, it was good though. Yeah, they got to find ways to kill you. I mean, shit, you got to think of that.
Came close about maybe 5 times, I think. Yeah. Although I feel like we came closer when I had the full fucking group. To be honest.
Yeah, I know.
When we had 7 characters and a lot of them were acting like fucking shithead dopes.
Yeah, dumb as shit. I look back at my older notes, I'm like, because they pulled the dumbest strategy of all time ever by any human being.
Remember the Tribor fight, too?
Yeah, that's where I wrote it down. Yeah,
that was
the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
I
was just playing NPCs because my characters were elsewhere. So I was playing NPCs, so I wasn't going to give my opinion because, quite frankly, I didn't give a fuck if my NPC died. Yeah. I had nothing. I had no skin in that game. So I just played the character as Wanda Sykes.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
She was like the sheriff in Tribor.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was times when I thought we were gonna die. One of my most exciting moments ever. Actually, we got the Miami Vice one too.
Oh yeah, that was good.
One of my most exciting times was we were on the Cloud Castle in one of the two dragon monsters. That Cloud Castle.
Was the Hecaton fighting his brother in the Civil War?
No. Way before that. Way before that. The TPK.
Oh, that shit show.
It was in one of the Dragon Adventures. I'm not sure one of the two.
It was in Parnas, actually.
Yeah, exactly right. It was in Parnas, coincidentally. And we're up fighting, and that was the fight. You've actually said several times on your YouTube videos the time when everybody stood getting hit by multiple fireballs.
Yeah.
Except my two characters were like, we're getting out of here.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons, Trask moved back.
Yeah.
Jormungandr moved forward. You know, so I'm pelting from a distance. And Jormungandr's fighting, and they're all standing there shooting their missile weapons.
But
so
staying in a clump.
Just boom, boom, fireball after fireball.
Three in a row.
It was a TPK. Ultimately, we were trying to get a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, it was one of the dragon.
Maybe
dragon. What were they? Dragon mask. Yeah. One of there was the black dragon mask, and we got it. We ran, and it had like a hole in it. So when you jump down, you basically fly down at like terminal velocity, and then you slow down right at the bottom.
Yeah, I made the dragon, the giant castles, the cloud giant castles. Basically, I made them sort of like helicopters that paratroopers could jump out of. So if you jumped out of the hole in the middle of it, you fell at terminal velocity until the very end when the featherfall spell kicked in. That was cast upon you as you jumped through the hole.
Right.
So I figured then you got a whole like swarms of giants like hurling through the air, and boom, the featherfall kicks in just
not
before
scary
the
or
ground.
anything.
Yeah. It's like a ride at Action Park.
All of the people that stood in the middle just got fucking smoked, you know? So the fight ended. My two characters, the only one standing. Now, Trask he had the dragon mask. He was jumping off. We were getting out of dodge. We were all fucked up. Yeah. It was bad. And Jormungandr was like, well, I'm going from point A to B. Whichever character who's laying on the ground, because they're all dead. Yeah. They're all either dead or in Death Save Land, right? There was 4 of them. Yeah. My barbarian says, I can get one. Yeah. I'll pick one up and jump off, and hopefully that's one that's made their death saves.
Yeah.
As it turns out, it was.
It was Kurt's guy.
I think so. The blind monk.
Yeah, he played the blind monk from those Channel 5.
Oh, another great story. So anyway, it was my two guys and Kurt that survived. Everybody else was a TPK, and so they all rolled new characters.
Yeah,
so
I gave
Kurt,
tremor sense or some bullshit, instead of a feed.
This is the best story ever.
Yeah.
So Kurt decided he's going to make an old blind monk, just like those Saturday afternoon kung fu shows. There was always that guy who was blind,
the Shaolin teacher.
And he beat the shit out of everybody, right?
Yeah.
Here's an old guy with blind. So that's Kurt's character. And in one of the final adventures we did, we were in the Daggerford area. This was right before the Beatles broke up, right?
Yeah.
And we encounter a ghost.
Yeah.
Kurt's character is 70 years old.
Yeah. And he dies of old age.
So the ghost, I don't know what the mechanic is. He looks at him.
Like 40 years or whatever.
So he had to make a saving throw, and he failed. And he aged, I don't know what the rule is, 40, 50, 60.
Whatever the hell it
Either
was.
way.
He dies. Like, Kurt, I can't justify that he's
instantly
living that long.
died of old age right in front of us. And so, this is what you get for freaking, I'm going to make something really cool. An ancient guy. If he was 20, now he'd be 60.
Yeah.
He made a fucking 70-year-old.
Yeah.
Fucking moron. So that's a Saturday night, Friday night, can't remember which. I'm taking a shower on the couple days, Sunday, the next day. Yeah. And I'm getting ready. No, this is Monday morning. Yeah. I'm getting ready for work, and I'm sitting here washing my hair.
It was long enough for Kurt's girlfriend to hear a story and be pissed at me for killing him.
Oh, yeah.
You played the blind guy. What the fuck?
You played. You're not a blind guy. Yeah. You played an old guy.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there going, wait a second. I'm taking a shower, and I'm like, I got to get the fucking player's handbook or
the Monster Manual.
The Monster Manual. So I'm literally running downstairs with a towel around my waist. I read about ghost, and it's if you see the ghost.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait. I called Joey up. I'm getting ready. I'm like, I'm Joe. I'm staring at my fucking towel, but Kurt's character's blind. He never saw the ghost. He's not dead. And you're like, Oh, son of a bitch. So I think you really wanted to kill him at that point.
I was kind of pleased that the weird blind fucker was gone, and
The
I'm
old
like,
guy.
oh fuck, he's back.
You can't. There was no way around.
Yeah,
The logic
yeah,
was
yeah.
sound. He never saw him. So we called Kurt Monday night, and you're like, "Hey man, your character." He was like, "What?" He's like, "I already rolled up my other character." But that was back at like around 7th, 8th level.
Yeah.
That was funny. The old blind monk.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. What was the other moment you said it was good?
Oh, so there was. I won't get too much in detail, but the bane of Trask's existence, Manchun of the Zentarum, who in secret was a power player behind the Kraken Society, right?
Yeah,
which was involved in the destruction of the world. So he was the bane of Trask's existence. He took over his house and bankrupted it, and
he married his sister.
Killed his mother, killed his parents. Yeah. So in any event, it was. We had an opportunity to kill him. We were going in on a cloud giant castle, and we were going to, parachute down. Yeah. And it was just Jormungandr, my barbarian Trask. Yartar. The water deep invasion of Yartar.
Yeah, you were hitting the mansion where Manchun was going to be.
Exactly. And so we ended up. And so you sent me a video.
Oh, this is it. See, this video, guys. You all remember Miami Vice, right? Kraken and Tubbs.
Kraken.
Kraken.
Oh, I thought you said Kraken.
Kraken.
Too much Cthulhu.
Yeah. Kraken and Tubbs. And there was a scene in the first episode, I believe, the long episode, where that song from Phil Collins, I Can Feel It Coming in the Air Tonight, plays, and they're driving down the road preparing to go to fight somebody, and Tubbs just looks at Crockett and he says, and Tubbs is like Jormungandr in this, and Crockett's driving.
So Crockett is the guy who's emotionally invested in this
guy,
and his good friend, his partner, is just kind of like, I'm at your side, acknowledging.
Yep. And he looks at in the video. If you watch this, just do Miami Vice Coming in the Air Tonight, and you'll see the actual video I'm talking about, right? And it's Crockett and Tubbs going down to kick ass, right? And Tubbs looks at him like, all right, it's on. He just loads up the double barrel, And it's like, so I said, now shut up. Now this is the moment that you're hitting right now. Shut up, don't say a word. If you do, you lose 10 million XP, and just watch this video without a fucking sound.
And it was basically the entire thought process of both the guys. One guy, hyper emotional, hyper focused, and one guy's like, my boy's going in, I'm going with them.
Yeah. So they ended up killing Manchun that night and took his shit.
And Jormungandr did 98% of the damage.
I know.
It was because there was like an anti-magic zone, so he just went in with his fucking maul and just beat him in his head.
Yeah, no, that worked out good. Yeah, it was fun. Little things like that are what makes the moment. I like to do the clips, the video clips, if it adds or enhances to something, I did one the other night, what I was telling you about in Rob's game, where my priest of Neptus is gods of hedonism and pleasure and this and that, and supposed to preside over a dinner and a ceremony and a mass and this and that. So I said, I took a clip from Stanley Kubrick. What was that song with that show?
Eyes Wide Shut?
Eyes Wide Shut, where they did that weird fucking ritual.
The piano music?
Yeah, one. So I took that to Rob. This is what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is what my priest is doing. He goes, all right, that works.
I did the same thing 2 weeks ago in my campaign. I'm running a 5e campaign in Greyhawk with all the same people we play with in the other campaign. Before Joey banished them. But in any event, Kurt was soloing, going in solo because he stayed behind in Hamlet, and he found this ancient, when I say ancient, I mean like 500,000 years old temple.
Yeah.
And I made him the whole time. I found this creepy, I think I Googled evil temple music, in YouTube, and I came up, and I'm telling you, if you listen a little while, you get fucking creeped out.
I listened a little bit.
And so I made Kurt listen to it the entire time he was in there. I even had to go pick up my daughters from somewhere. So I said, Kurt, I'll be back in like 15 minutes. And I got back, and I'm like, all right, you ready? He goes, dude, I haven't turned this fucking music off. It's fucking my head up. but it's cool because it sets a scene. Yeah. There's even been times we've role played, like I've been in a tavern.
Yeah.
You were in a tavern. And if you YouTube, medieval tavern noises, you can find anything.
Yeah,
and it really helps kind of set
you can put it on roll. You can
either
either tell people to look at a video or you could add it to Roll20 sound effects.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
But it does add anything you can do to add feeling and immersion to me. There's no stone goes unturned in the search for increasing immersion. That's to me, there was one encounter when I was DMing again, Kurt. He texted me Saturday morning after our game. He goes, dude, I woke up with anxiety, you know, and I'm like, well, mission accomplished as a DM, because that's what I was trying to get, you know?
Yeah. I like, my way to do it is to take notes about nitty gritty stuff. How many hours do I have? How many things do we find? How much does each thing weigh? Like that, all those notes, all those things that people like poo-poo, like encumbrance, I do it not for a little bit of OCD, but I do it because I like that level of immersion.
You want to put yourself in the mind of someone who has a sack with 900 copper pieces.
Yeah, it's like
what, that's a pain in the ass.
It's like, what do you call it? Method acting? You know, it helps me. All those little things helps me get there.
Yep.
You know, all those little whatever it takes. I remember hearing a video about. We're talking about Babylon 5. Any fans out there from the original Babylon 5? I know I say original because who knows who's listening to this, or if you've watched the new one that's coming out in some years from now. But the original B5, where it had Londo Malari, and the actor who played Londo, you know, because he had this weird accent, you know, this Transylvanian accent or whatever.
Transylvania?
I don't know what the fuck it was. It was strange, man. I don't know what the hell it was.
No one uses that term.
Yeah, it was strange. So he's had his accent going, and he says, the thing that he always did to try to get into character, like when stuff, he gets the hair, the outfit, and this and that, but the thing that got him into character is saying, Mr. Garibaldi. That was a pale imitation. I had to try it though. But he says, and the way he said it, that got him right into the role. For me, getting me into the role was taking stupid amounts of notes about details that nobody else gives a fuck about. Right, but that gets me there.
Yeah.
You know? So people appreciate it because I'm a note taker in all the games. You know, so it works out well.
Speaking of note taker, I was looking. I got all nostalgic today. Of course, you know, I was looking at all of the content I have on all of my various folders and subfolders of D&D, and you know, in when I dungeon master, and then when I play, I determine as players, one person has to be the mapper, which Roll20 has made a non-thing, right? Yeah. One person the mapper, one person keeps track of experience, one person keeps track of treasure, and one person is the note taker. Yeah. Right? I'll never be the note taker because it's just, I can't do it. I'm not going to do that. I'm always the mapper. It's always been my role. I love doing the maps. Roll20's made that not a thing because you can just do it within the game. But Kurt was always the note taker, mainly because he had good handwriting.
We can all read it.
I could read it. Yeah. So he sent us last year, maybe the year before, you said, Kurt, can you send us your notes from before the breakup?
Before the TPK and all
before
that.
Before the TPK and before you decided, like, I don't want to play 5e anymore, right? Yeah, so it was a 15, 16 months in. And he sent them, and it was all, you know, scans, you know, photos of paper. And, man, reading that shit was phenomenal because it brought me, I read it just today, and I read it before, but I read it today, and I'm reading shit from 4.5 years ago. Yeah. You know, like
your diary, Teddy We Killed Orcs.
Yeah, but it goes beyond, the notes you give are just so high level, and it's not always about what we're doing, it's about what's going on in the world. Yeah. But these notes were like, Jormungandr picked up kid and jumped off the wagon, you know, like shit like that. Maybe this is shit that happened in Finland at the beginning. And you know what I realized after that session? My rage should have worn out by then because it's first, you know, second, and I probably shouldn't have taken half damage. I probably should have been in death save land, but I didn't realize until like a month later. Yeah. But
they never got a wreck on the whole campaign.
The whole campaign's over for what happened at third level. Yeah. But you know, but I read those notes and remembering terrible fumbles and fantastic crits, and you know, like it gives. I would have never been able to take notes like that because I need to like immerse myself. Yeah. You know, I really need to get into it when I'm a player, and so I'd never be the note taker. But man, reading that shit,
I'd be terrible at it if it was handwriting because my handwriting sucks and I don't write that fast. And so only way I could do is if we play everything on Roll20 and I'm just hacking out notes as we go.
Right, just typing in like your own shorthand.
Yeah. And, you know, you just open up Word and boom, type it all out.
Yeah. But man, that was fantastic, and you know, right up. The whole group I remember broke up in Daggerford, and I didn't remember that until today when I read it. Yeah. But that was cool reading all of his stuff, and so of course it's all his own perspective too.
Yeah. DM's being a dick, me. I don't think that was in there, but probably thought about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially when I killed him when I shouldn't have killed him as a ghost.
Yeah.
God. Anyway, I think it wrapped up pretty good though. You know, like I said, it had to end. It was natural ending. You know,
it was actually uncomfortable. I was trying to picture what my characters would be like in this scenario. And Trask has gone through so much in 8.5 years. He went from
it was 4.5 years of our time, 8.5 of game time for all of them.
Right. And I try to role play him as being a young, arrogant bitter asshole noble, and he's had such a character transformation that like he was going to be super somber that night.
Yeah.
Now Jormungandr wasn't. You know, Jormungandra's, you know, he's not an idiot. He's got actually a high wisdom, but I wasn't going to have him be as somber because just wasn't in his nature.
More Klingon.
Yeah,
Tonight we
exactly.
drink, for tomorrow we shall all die.
Exactly.
Or whatever the hell he said in Kern or whoever it was, right?
Exactly. And you had a lot of like all these characters we've met over the years
at the dinner.
At the big, you know, final
dinner.
The final dinner, yeah.
Thing. Yeah.
And I was thinking more in lines of the battle before the White Walkers attacked Winterfell in season 8, where there was a handful of people sitting around a fire, because that was a much more somber mood. But these guys were almost like festive, and I was sitting there going, man, I don't feel fucking festive, both as a character and as a player, because it's the end of the campaign. So I'm like, no, I'm not really feeling like I'm gonna say a whole lot and do a whole lot of partying. But what was cool is you made it a point to have a lot of characters that we've met over the last 24 levels come up and say something relevant to their perspective on what was going on.
That's what I tried to do. There's half a dozen gave a speech, and
right.
another half a dozen, and again from their perspective, and the other half dozen just approached you based on your relationship and that conversation based on your old relationships with them.
Yeah, that was cool. You brought back a lot of people, and then you wrote one guy down that died. And I'm like, Joe, that guy's dead. And he goes, and you were like, oh yeah, he died, didn't he? He's not there.
I forgot about him. Yeah. He killed out so many people.
I'm like, Joe, we killed that motherfucker. And you're like, oh, okay, he's not there. It's been so long.
Guy off the list.
It's just been so long, you know, of the campaign that you forgot who was alive and who was dead.
What was that? Which one was that?
Mert.
Oh, Mert. Yeah. Mert the Moneylender.
Mert the Moneylender was a secret Cthulhu thug.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Once we found out, we had to kill him too.
Yep. Like fuck. Yeah, usually it gets so complex you forget your own fucking shit.
Yeah, that was funny. I'm looking at the list you scanned over. I'm like, wait a second, I killed that guy.
He was evil.
No way he's here.
It's revenge. Mert's revenge. Shows up at your going away party. Fucking poison. Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, I think it came out good, and so it's done. And we move on to the next thing. Yeah. And now I have to create the timeline going forward for 2E. I got all the pieces, I think, written up and all the components. Now I just have to create. I look at it as like a pool table, you know, that all the balls are in a certain place, and then me as a DM, I'm just throw the cue ball hard against a bunch of bumpers and watch what happens.
Right.
That's the way I look at this, you know, for DMing in a way. That's the best analogy or metaphor I could use, I guess, is pool. I throw the cue ball. That's me as a DM, and then every once in a while, the player will hit a cue ball. That's them making their actions, and it moves some other cue ball or other pool balls around, and out comes an answer. Eventually, somebody wins, somebody dies, somebody might hit the 8-ball. Yep. Strike on the 8-ball. That's failing your death save. So, yeah. Well, I guess it's over an hour here. So why don't we wrap this shit up? Because my hand is fucking.
Is that even allowed to go over an hour?
Yeah. I'm recording on my phone on voice memo.
Oh, right.
So yeah, you get the voice memo thing. So I'm gonna upload this later, and it'll be good. So, guys, if you like the video, go back. There's a couple other ones. And like, subscribe, and comment. I always answer every single comment anybody leaves. All right, so I respond to every one of them. So, and then share it around if you liked it. And remember, that whole Tankar's Tavern Substack, right? Check that out, because all the other guys who do videos in this little tavern network they put out good stuff every week too. So check that out. Links are below. All right, and I'm going to link to the Miami Vice thing and I'm also going to link to my house rules. I'm going to post those up on my webpage.
Your 5e house rules?
5e house rules, because remember we talked about it, but we didn't really.
We did a whole video on it.
Yeah, we go back and watch the other Firepit show, guys, and we went through the house rules in a lot of detail. So the other Firepit one that we did, if you like this one, it's the same kind of shit, but talking about the 5e house rules.
Joey read the rules, and I was the color guy to say whether they were good or not.
Yeah, most of the ones that were good for me, he didn't like.
Right.
So go back and listen to that, and if you want, and then you could follow along with my 5e house rules. I'm on my webpage. I didn't have a webpage back then to post them on. So, anywho, we're about an hour and 3 minutes. So we'll let you go here. Thank you very much for listening this long, and take it easy, guys.
Later.